All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. Sorry it took me a few moments here. One, I've never done a show where I'm actually like cooking or doing something on it. Ooh, why do I have blue in here? That is not a Mardi Gras color. So I was admittedly a little flustered today getting ready for this. I don't see anybody on yet, so I'm going to chat for a minute. This is a shirt that I got the last time I went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. It says running on fried chicken and king cake. So there we go. I'm going to leave these on for a few minutes, but I will eventually take them off. So as we get going here, I'm just going to grab the things I need. Starting with, I do mine on pizza pans just because I like to have the space of a pizza pan. And then I'm actually just gonna put a little parchment paper down. Really? Nobody wants to learn how to make a king cake today? Huh, that was a lot of work. Getting ready for this tour if nobody's hopping on. Oh well, it'll be on YouTube after, so I'm sure lots of people will catch up with it there. We will go through the motions of doing it all. Now, I did already, look at me dropping stuff all over the place. I did already start baking one king cake, because if we were here and waiting for it to cool and all that kind of stuff, we'd be here for hours today. And I do at some point have to go to work. It's a Lego. So here we go. So I already have things prepared, but I will talk about everything as we go. All right. Yeah. So I wanted to put these on just kind of for effect. But now that I've greeted everybody, I'm actually going to take them off because I don't want them swinging in the king cake. So let me go put them back where they belong, which is at the end of my bed. And here we go. All right, I just put them on the wrong way. I knew I was going to do that. There we go. All right, so we're coming on, and you're like, where did Co go? I'm just in the other room putting beads away so that I can be bead free while we do this. Huh. Okay. All right, so we're using two Pillsbury Crescent Roll cans, just the regular cans. I did buy the reduced fat just because. Now I have read whatever that it's not a great idea to do the reduced fat stuff because it actually has more bad stuff in it. But it is what it is. That's what I picked for today. So we need to open these wonderful things. And if you've followed me for more than a few years on social media, you've probably seen me try to open these before. I have a love-hate relationship with these things. One time I couldn't figure out at all how to do it. And I ended up having to use a spoon and leveraging it to open. Now I am slowly mastering the art of opening a tin. However, I find a little bit always gets stuck, and I don't know why that is. But it drives me a little bit crazy, and today it's stuck worse than usual, just because, of course, I'm doing this for a video. Yes, that is behind me there, my shelves. I have Lego and Tiffany stuff on my bookcases. Very few books. That's just how I roll. All right, let's throw these papers out. So these are the regular size crescents, not the grands. I did it once with grands and I ended up having to go get more. Oh, I jinxed myself. Oh, there we go. And you don't want to press too hard either, because if you press too hard, then you're going to end up sticking some of these together. So here we go. I'm just going to take out a plate and drop this roll on there so it's not sitting on the counter. I just don't want it sticking to the counter. Here we are. So let's talk about, we're here to talk about Mardi Gras today, king cake baking. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Usually when I say New Orleans in general, people go, oh yeah, Mardi Gras. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot more to New Orleans than just Mardi Gras. And there is a lot more to Mardi Gras than just Bourbon Street and beads. So I actually didn't go to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Now, which way do I usually do this? Sorry, I had to think here. The last one I did it automatically, and now I'm thinking because I'm doing this in front of you. Yeah, I think this is the way I do it. So I'm actually placing these on the pizza pan like that. And I'm going to do a full circle all the way around. Now, this is a different size pizza pan than the last one because I wanted to give these guys space. But now I'm like, did I do this too big? But we can adjust it later. Now, I found on a couple of these rolls that the perforations weren't actually done properly. You're supposed to be able to pull them apart really easily, and these ones are not. But that is okay because it doesn't really matter when it all comes down to it. Oops, I dipped one of these in Nutella. So, where are we? Talking about Mardi Gras. It's a little bit harder than I thought to like talk and do this all at the same time. What is going on here? I don't even know what that is right now. I'm going to leave that for later. Never a dull moment doing things with me, right? Anyway, so we were talking about Mardi Gras, and I was saying how like everybody, as soon as I say New Orleans, are all like, oh yeah, Mardi Gras, and then Mardi Gras, and you're all like, oh yeah, beads, Bourbon Street. That is not Mardi Gras. Bourbon Street and collecting beads and lifting up your shirt and showing your, tatas and all that kind of stuff. That is not actually Mardi Gras. If people are telling you that, they are wrong. They have never been to Mardi Gras and they don't know anything about New Orleans. So I started going to New Orleans in 2007. Okay, these are really wonky pieces. I don't know what is going on here. This is not right. Things are like smushed together that shouldn't be. Oh my goodness, this was a terrible container. Okay, well, we're going to do the best with it. So people, I didn't go to Mardi Gras until I'd been going to New Orleans. I think my first Mardi Gras was, I want to say in like 2013 or 14? Anyways, I've been going to New Orleans for a long time. I actually went with some really cool people. I hung around with the general manager from one of the only legit New Orleans restaurants that used to be here in Vancouver called Wheezy. And if you were on my tour last week, we actually passed by the old Wheezy Bistro. I miss that spot so much. It was such a good, like, authentic New Orleans restaurant. Ooh, this is going to be a fiddly one. Now, every one of these is going to turn out differently because, you're placing the rolls around. I'm like, where is my roll? Sorry, my hands are really greasy. So I had studied Mardi Gras and learned about it because I knew it was more than Bourbon Street. And then when I was ready, I was like, hey, who wants to go down and volunteer in New Orleans? We're going to go during Mardi Gras and we'll go check out some parades and stuff. And so Mardi Gras is just such a fun time to be in New Orleans. We were volunteering with St. Bernard Project. We had a blast. We volunteered each day, 8 to 4:30. And then we went and had a refresh back at our accommodations. We were staying in this cool old house in Mid-City. And it was right off the streetcar line. And we would go back and get freshened up, go find something to eat. And then we finally were like, all right, let's go to a parade. And it was insane. I think that's when I went to my first Mardi Gras. Anyways, I'm going to mix up some stories. You're going to hear different stories. I might have the time wrong. You're not going to know. I won't remember because clearly I don't, but we're going to have fun talking about stories. So I remember, I think we might have split up. We wanted to go to different places for dinner or something. And so the 3 or 4 of us kind of split up and we're like, hey, we'll just meet back at the house after, or we catch up to you. Oh, that opened unexpectedly. And so I found myself a spot and I was just like, you go to something for the first time and you're like, you want to catch it all. You want to see it all. You're like looking in 25 different directions, not wanting to miss anything. I was laughing because there was this horse nearby that was like trying to dance and like he wanted to keep moving. But the officer sitting on him was trying to have a conversation with the police mobile unit and the horse was not having it. It was just hilarious. And the thing I learned right up front is that when it says a parade is starting, that is not when it's starting. But you want to go early anyways because you don't want to miss any of it. And also, if you want to get a good spot, you kind of have to go early. You know what I'm saying? So I went and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to Canal Street. Like, that seems to be what people do, I think. Here I go. This is going to be amazing. And so I found myself a really good spot where I could see, not really thinking anything through or paying attention. And that's an important part of the story. And I was so excited to see my first parade. I don't even know who it was. I think it was like, I want to say it was probably on a Thursday before Mardi Gras, which I'm pretty sure it was Muses, because now it's all coming back to me. See what happens when your girl starts to talk? I was all excited because before I went, my friend Allison had hooked me up with a ticket for the big celebration for Crew of Muses at the end of the parade route. Now, what made it even more exciting is a ticket. Well, that's not exciting. The ticket was $100, but it was like unlimited everything. And Trombone Shorty, who I simply adore, was the entertainment. So I had this amazing ticket to go to this big parade, and it's invite only. Like, you had to know somebody to get a ticket to the event. Like, they don't just let any riffraff in. So to me, that made it even more special. I had offered the chance for my friends coming down with me to volunteer to go, and they were like, nah, that's a lot of money. And then later, when I was getting ready to go to I think they still call it a ball, party, whatever, putting on my tutu and everything, and they were helping me get ready. And then they were like, oh man, you know what? We should have done this. We should have got a ticket. And I'm like, yeah, sorry. I wish I could help you and do something now, but I can't. So here we go. All the pieces are on. Can you see that? So I basically just laid them all in the same direction, all the points in the middle. They don't have to be pretty. And then what I do is kind of in the middle here, I go around and I just give a quick little squishy pat down Can you see where I'm doing it? Like not at the bottom, not at the top, just in the middle. That is where we're going to place our toppings over top. So this is going to be a really scattered one today because I'm going to be giving instructions as well as telling stories. And it's a good thing I'm ADHD and can just be all over the map all at once. Life is grand. So we got this ready to go. And now we're coming to the part where we do toppings. Now, traditionally in New Orleans, an actual traditional king cake is like ground up raisins and nutmeg and I think brown sugar. And no. Lately, in the last little bit, people have started to do really interesting things with their king cakes. They started to add like different flavors and do like chocolate and everything. And then eventually, they have, I think even in most recent years, started doing savory king cakes. So like people are doing like crawfish king cakes and all things like that. And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Oh my gosh. I don't know if I'll have a chance to do it this year because we're only a week away from Mardi Gras. So happy Mardi Gras. But that dish, salmon Wellington, would make a wicked, would it not, king cake, like for a savory king cake with maybe like a little bit of sage and rosemary. You know what? Maybe that's what I'm going to do next Tuesday. I might just make myself a savory king cake. So what I'm doing is I just got this brilliant idea this week. So I am doing a cream cheese and whoops, here it goes. Cream cheese, a little bit of Nutella, and raspberry jam king cake. It's going to be wicked. So I actually melted a little bit, not completely, but totally softened the cream cheese. I just used 2 bricks of your basic, I'm using the Compliments, the Safeway brand of cream cheese. So for 2 king cakes, I got 2 bricks. I had 4 Pillsbury containers. I got a small jar of Nutella, medium-sized jar, it was on sale, and a medium-sized jar of strawberry jam. And I also used up my dollar store icing sugar because I love a good bargain. You also need some vanilla and, of course, milk or cream for all of everything. Now, I mixed a little bit of icing sugar with the cream cheese. I don't even know why. I saw it in a recipe. So then I was like, oh, it's such a pain to have to like form it all out in this circle. Then I got smart and I just am using a basic piping tool, no thing on the bottom. And it just makes the perfect size. Oh, why is my alarm? Oh, time to double task here. Give me a second. So I'm just going to pipe this. You know where geez, this is going to be a day. I can tell already. Oh, Lord. Lego is going to be interesting. What was I just saying? Yes, of course, now my glucose is going high. Excellent. Why not? All right. Let me pull this out so I can string a thought together. Woo! Yes, some of it exploded. I thought it would. Can you all see that a little bit? I'll show you in a minute when I have two oven mitts on. Woo! That one looks like it might have come out just perfect. It's nice and golden brown on the top. So here we go. So I mixed a little bit of icing sugar into just a little bit, like not even probably an eighth of a cup. And that was what I did for both of them. So where you pressed down on those crescent triangle-y things, that is where you're going to do your ring of cream cheese. Okay? Sorry. It's taking a moment here. It's not quite as melted as it was before. It's a little bit harder to work through. That's okay. So you don't have to melt it. You just have to make the cream cheese really moldable. And it doesn't matter if you don't have two perfect circles because it's all going to bake together in the oven anyways, all right? Now, they usually ice king cakes in purple, green, and gold. And those have specific meanings of like power and I think health and things like that. I do have notes on it that I'll get to in a bit. So there we go. I can probably hold this up a little bit because there we go. I think you can see it. So I just did a big ring around, 2 rings. Now, let's see what's going on. And I keep a plate nearby to put drippy things on. I'm actually going to just go melt a little bit more Nutella for this one. Because the more I put on the cake, the less I have at home to be tempted to eat, right? So when I went to that first Mardi Gras party, holy, that was amazing. It was at the Contemporary Arts Center of New Orleans, which is an amazing venue. And I walk in and it was just like, help yourself to the food, help yourself to the booze. Don't mind if I do. And I was all dressed up and I hung out with my friends right by the stage. So like Trombone Shorty was right in front of me. Oh my gosh, I like died twice. Not kidding. Like, I absolutely adore Trombone Shorty. Okay, I'm just going to pop this in the microwave. I will keep talking. So, and yes, I have Mardi Gras themed music going on in the background here, because why not? So, that was really fun. But the parade itself, like I positioned myself so that I could easily be right. I thought, oh, there's a street light nearby, so that's good. I'll be able to see everything. But then also my train of thought was, it's right on the corner where the parades turn off of, is it St. Charles or Carondelet? And so I thought, perfect, I'm mean, right on the corner. So I'm going to get them kind of as they're coming around. Well, there was a small problem with that. We were right on the corner with a street lamp. And that first float, when it finally came out hours later, like I'm telling you, you're standing there for hours waiting for this to all go down. And I'm just going to heat this up for a few more seconds. And the first float comes through and they start throwing beads, and I have a lamppost right in front of me, so I can't see anything. I get hit in the head so hard with beads it almost knocked me out. Like, who knew going to Mardi Gras was a contact sport? I certainly didn't. But man, did I learn fast. I learned to just put my hands up and hope for the best. Now, the other thing is let's see if I did this right. Nope. A few more. There's a little bit of things you need to know. Like, if you're going to Mardi Gras, you're going to parades, and you're around kids, there's kind of like this. If you get a cool prize, and there's some kids standing around, and they're looking at you, you kind of need to give the prizes up. Now, did I do that on my first Mardi Gras? No, because it was my first parade. And I wanted all of the things to take home. And when I got home, I took everything and I laid it all out. It was so hilarious. And I had so much stuff. Beads. I had all kinds of cool beads with like fun things on them. I had all kinds of little gadgets and rings that were shiny and sparkly and lit up. And the big thing there is cups. Now, I never got any Muse's cups, but this was from my first Mardi Gras vacation in New Orleans, so the volunteering one. And this was from the crew of Iris. Oh, maybe this wasn't the first one because this is 2016. Or maybe it was. I don't know anymore. I think this might have been my second one where I did, Crew of Iris. I was downtown on the Saturday. Sorry, that was my second Mardi Gras. Then I have this cool cup from 2020. Oh, it's a good thing I have these cups. And then I went to the Crew of Boo, which is not Mardi Gras. It is Halloween in New Orleans. And it was Saturday, October 21st, 2023. And that was such a fun night. I dressed up kind of like as a Day of the Dead character. So here we go. We've got our ring of cream cheese. And now we're going to spread some Nutella. So I do the Nutella kind of old school. I just melt it. And then I just kind of take it and I spread it around right on top of the ring. Okay, right on top of that ring, I just spread the Nutella. And you don't need to make it thick. You're doing like a few layers here. And if you miss a spot or two, it is not the end of the world. It is all still going to be fantastic because we're doing 3 different things on this one. I did the same on the other one, but I did it really quick and dirty, so it probably has a little less filling. And then, like, you got to make friends with the police that are around you, because if something gets thrown off and you want it and it's out of your reach and you make friends with the police, then they'll walk over because they can go anywhere they want behind the barricades and they'll get it for you. But you got to work it. So I was like, ooh, maybe the next time I go to Mardi Gras, I wonder if I should take like little Lego poly bags for all the police officers. Yeah, because, you know, Lego is a currency. This is looking good. Let's see if I can show you here. Can you see that kind of? There we go. That's what I've done there. So I put it right on top. It's a big ooey gooey. Whoops, sorry, I just banged it against. I have a very small kitchen, my friends. So I apologize. Maybe I'll leave it on here so you can see how I'm doing this. Like I said, this is the first time I've done this, so bear with me. Now, recently I've started changing things around and I've started to go into the CBD, the Central Business District, to watch parades. It's a little bit less competitive for things, friendlier, and, you know, honestly, it's kind of fun to be around the kids. There's a lot of families that go there. There's usually some restaurants. You go in and buy something, you'll get bathroom privileges as well, because bathrooms are scarce during Mardi Gras. They don't have them, a ton of them out on the routes. But, and I'm meaning to do this one year. This year will not be the year because I'm not going for Mardi Gras. Next year will not be the year because I'm actually planning to go in January, and I might do a meet me in New Orleans for that one. So again, you can see, right? I'm just kind of sprinkling it around. There's no rhyme or reason to it. My church, First Grace United Methodist Church in New Orleans, does a fundraiser, and they do like a jambalaya dinner. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at my tea towels. I brought these back. Ding. And they do a big fundraiser. You pay some money and it goes towards something. I can't remember. I want to say it's like Hagar's house. I don't know. But my church is awesome and I love the people there. And so why not? Ooh, I just had this thing of like, should I put some pepper on here to make it spicy? No, we're not doing that today. I can experiment on my own ones. So then you can go and hang out, and then you can watch the parade right in front of the church. And then you have nice, clean, pretty bathrooms to use on the parade route, which like never happens. You'll need to do a little bit of adjusting as you go around because you're basically pulling that long flat side over top of your icing or your oh my God, filling. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Filling. And you're going to bring it around as far as you can all the way over. And that's why we end up kind of like, that's why we don't pinch down the whole thing, because you're going to need to play with it a little bit. And yeah, so it's just a really fun way to kind of hang out. Plus they're right on Canal Street, right up by the front of where most of the parades start. And they do their big party thing, usually for Endymion, which is the last Saturday before Mardi Gras. What parades have I seen? And again, feel free to leave me any questions in the comments. You're probably wondering, I've been to Iris, I've seen Endymion year one. No, 2 years I've seen Endymion. I have seen Toth, I've seen Muses, I've seen Nyx, and then all that, like, these are mostly like Cruise and Super Cruise. These are the main act parades. They roll out lots of other parades right before. So there's usually 2 little smaller parades and then 1 big one, especially in the last week to 2 weeks before Mardi Gras. So now I'm taking all the little triangle pieces and folding them over. But the idea is that you want to basically like make a casing for that filling, right? So you're gonna those ends, especially as a dough gets warmer, those ends kind of elongate as you're putting them on. So you just got to get creative to kind of fill it all up. Mostly you just want to make sure that the whole thing is cased in well. As you saw, mine a little bit exploded, like dripped out. That's okay. It's going to happen, especially with probably the first 6 king cakes you make. But if you're like, when would you do this? Like if you're hosting a pancake dinner, like a lot of people do on Shrove Tuesday, which is the other name for Fat Tuesday, which is the other name for Mardi Gras, like blah, blah, blah. Yeah, make sure you could even make the cake a day ahead. Now, usually they put a little baby inside the king cake or a nut or something. But these days with nut allergies and inclusiveness and like blah, blah, all that kind of stuff, I don't put nuts other than Nutella, because then I make sure, like I tell everybody, it's Nutella. So if you can't have nuts, this is not the king cake for you. Sadly. Now, sometimes things are going to not work out so well with these, and you can actually borrow some of the elongated bits and paste them in somewhere else to fill holes, which I did on that last one. I'm thinking I may need to do with this one. I just see a few little spots, so I'm going to mend it up with some extra bits here. Like I just pulled a bit off, and I'm going to put it over here. Yeah, New Orleans and Mardi Gras is so fun. So like the Mardi Gras stuff is just really cool. Like the parades and everything, it's so fun. It's a great family activity, especially if you're going to go somewhere further out to watch the parades. Like it's just really, really good. And they all started in New Orleans. Mardi Gras started in, I believe, I don't remember. Sorry, I meant to know. And then I read something and now it's confused me. So there's been this long-lived, like, when did the real Mardi Gras ever happen, or the first Mardi Gras, and who had the first Mardi Gras and all that kind of stuff. I don't super buy into all of that. So I went to Mobile this year. Okay, we're going to pop it in the oven for 30 minutes. Ooh, that looks pretty. See how it turned out? Whoops, I don't want to drop it right off the tray here. But there we go. That is our king cake. Nice and round, so there's no nut in it to replace the baby. I'm not putting a baby in. If you were in New Orleans and you end up with a slice of king cake with the baby in it, that means that you have good luck and you are also bringing the next king cake to the next party. So there is responsibility with getting that baby. So in going to Mobile, Alabama, and going to their fabulous, both cities, by the way, have a Mardi Gras museum, and I recommend going to both. So the Mobile Mardi Gras reputedly did start sooner. It was first. However, that is a different Mardi Gras than the Mardi Gras that happens in New Orleans. And in fact, when the people who do Mardi Gras in Mobile, when they went to New Orleans and saw what New Orleans does, they actually changed their Mardi Gras to be on Fat Tuesday. So the actual Mardi Gras Day has like Crew of Zulu rolling and stuff. And that's when Mardi Gras like the big Fat Tuesday happens, and that is Mardi Gras Day. So trying to avoid having purple fingers when I go to Lego today. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Still a little bit warm, so we're going to give this a little minute. Let me try and wash some of the purple off my hands here. Now, the Mardi Gras in Mobile is primarily to do with royal courts. So you have like a queen and a king, and oh my goodness, the beautiful dresses and outfits that they have in Mobile in their museum are just, they almost, some of them basically, they're prettier than wedding dresses. Like they're just gorgeous. So they had this Mardi Gras based on the royal courts that they did in Mobile. And then when they went up to New Orleans, some of the organizers and stuff, and they saw that New Orleans has these parades with crews and the live music and everything, they were like, hang on a second, let's change this. And so in Mobile, they used to go, part of it was they'd go door to door and ask for donations and money and things like that, which is very similar to what they do if you go to Cajun country for Mardi Gras, where they, before they do all their festivities, they go door to door to collect things to make a big gumbo, I think, at the end of the day. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm doing my best. Let's remember, I'm not from New Orleans. I'm from Vancouver. I just love New Orleans and call it home. So basically, they were like, hey, we like all these parades and things. So they started doing parades in Mobile after that. And so does New Orleans have the first Mardi Gras? Yes, of that style. Does Mobile have the very first Mardi Gras? Yes, but theirs was done at midnight on New Year's Eve in Mobile, and they switched it to Fat Tuesday. So I think the next time that somebody says to me, well, who do you think had the first Mardi Gras? I'd be like, which one are you talking about? Are you talking about Mardi Gras New Year's Eve with the royal court? Or are you talking about, oh, hey, Mary Lou. Or are you talking about the Queens and Court and King Royal Court and things like that's just kind of crazy. So now I can actually have an educated conversation about Mardi Gras and know where I stand. So in my mind, they both had the first Mardi Gras because they do it differently. Take that. So again, this is what we look like. This is our big king cake. I'm going to let it cool a couple of minutes more. Now, we did have some leakiness here, so I'm just going to grab that out with a spoon now and clean it up. Now, in all honesty, I can go ahead and actually ice this while it's warm, because the way I do it, some places do like chunks of like the purple, green, and gold. Some places just kind of drizzle it on. Now, your girl here with the diabetes who likes to make them a little more friendlier for everybody to enjoy, I just kind of drizzle my icing on. And so it doesn't matter actually if I do it hot, because that's just going to give it more effect. So I'm using obviously a piping thing. Trying a different, I don't know. I usually just slather icing on or drizzle it on. This time I'm actually going to use a little piping thing. So here we go. And I'm just going to do zigzags back and forth to kind of give the effect of the icing. And again, it's going to melt a little bit because the cake is still warm. And so that to me is just quite perfect because it'll help settle everything. Oops, I'm not doing as well as I thought here with my back and forth. I think I'm still trying to get over this whole incident from yesterday, which I don't really want to talk about, this whole sleep study thing, because I'm so over it. It's happened, it's done, it's good. Let's talk about Mardi Gras. So one of the last few times I went to Mardi Gras, I was staying, I usually avoid the French Quarter at Mardi Gras because it is all the tourists who are like, yeah, man, I'm going to Mardi Gras. I'm going to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. I'm going to go party. Well, then you could really, if you're just going to go party on Bourbon Street, you could, honest to God, go to New Orleans anytime. They are always partying on Bourbon Street. You don't need to go to Mardi Gras for that. And quite honestly, like, not a lot of the parades even go down Bourbon Street. So here I am, and I'm walking along, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to like go get a vibe of it, just to be like, yeah, okay, I went to Bourbon Street during Mardi Gras. Probably going to be a big mistake. And I almost got in a fight because there's this group of 4 walking ahead of me. And the girl turns around and hits her boyfriend. Like, I don't mean like a little tap on the shoulder, ha, ha, ha. I mean, she hauls out a fist and slugs him. And then is like, how dare you? And the guy is like, what? And she goes, I saw you look at that half naked or whatever girl. And I'm like, he's like, what? We're in New Orleans. Like, we're in the French Quarter. It's Mardi Gras. I'm like, hey, that statement doesn't make sense to the locals, but whatever. I can share the recipe after on my Girl on the Bus Adventures page, Mary Lou. Absolutely. Sorry, I'm really trying not to get too much purple fingers here for Lego today. So anyways, she hits him, and I'm like, what did she hit him for? Like, what did he do? And so she hit him because he had looked at another girl. And so I kind of said, because I didn't really want to start an actual fight, but from back behind, I kind of turned and I said, like in a loud voice, oh, girlfriend, if you're going to start hitting people like that, like hitting them for things like that, 1, you're going to have a very miserable Mardi Gras, and 2, like, he's going to end up leaving you. Just let you, like, you chose to come to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. It is what it is, honey. So if you're that insecure, then you probably should never have come to New Orleans, because, like, we're just all literally here to have fun. Like, that's all it is. All it is. Yeah, that was like, oof. I felt so bad for that guy. Like, because, I mean, it's not just the guys looking at the girls. Hello, goes both ways. Like, there's men walking around that are pretty hot and cute and sexy and all that. And yeah, I'd be looking at them twice. I do. Except I never go to Bourbon Street during Mardi Gras. All right. I'm going to give this a second here to kind of like do its little magic and see where it's going to ooze to. Maybe add in a little bit of extra. Like right now. The thing I love about Mardi Gras is everybody dresses up to watch the parades, or at least the locals. Like, my friends in New Orleans have closets, and if you ever watch Mr. Dress Up, like, they have like tickle trunk type things. Like, you dress up in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. You actually dress up in New Orleans for a lot of things, and that's one of the many reasons I love the city. Like, it's just, you just get to be who you are. Kind of like that John Batiste song, Be Who You Are. Oh, I love John. You know what? You know what I'm going to do? Oh, I just got this idea now. I'm going to drizzle a little bit of Nutella right across, and it's going to be messy, and I don't even care, because what a fun little idea for this one. There's a couple of big globs of it. Doesn't even matter. Either way, it's going to be fabulous. And like the energy in the city. And here's a warning for you. If you're in New Orleans during Mardi Gras and you heard me rant about buses, yeah. The city during Mardi Gras is the priority. Everything is all about Mardi Gras. And the local bus company does not update their bus routes. So one day I was like on my way out, I had a later in the day flight, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to like go to Walmart. I was staying at the hostel downtown. It's going to go to Walmart and then make my way to the airport. And then I realized I couldn't actually get to Walmart because it was on the other side of the parade route, which had already been closed down because it was the Saturday before Mardi Gras. And there was no buses running in that direction. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to get to the airport either. Like, this is crazy. And so at that point, I actually was like, well, this is my last thing in New Orleans. I hadn't even had coffee yet. And it was just, these are one of my Go cups. I showed them earlier. They throw them out on the parade route, which is why you have to keep your hands up like this in front of your face. So if you can't see properly, or even if you can, those things come flying at you. It's much easier to get hit in the head by a moon pie than it is a cup. Having my chia seed and lemon water while I give the icing and the Nutella a little minute to sit. So I ended up walking for about 4 miles to get out of downtown and get to somewhere where I could call an Uber. And I was like, I'm just going to call an Uber because it's probably going to take forever. It actually only took 15 minutes. I ended up hanging out at a Waffle House. So I got picked up and I ended up getting to the airport really early. But whatever, I didn't miss my flight. I did get home on time. It's all good. Yes, I'm using paper towels to wipe my hands. I know it seems a bit wasteful or not so environment friendly, but one, I don't want to get purple icing on my hand towels and things. And I'm just really trying to keep a minimum of purple dye on my hands right at the moment. I have sprinkles. These are actually Christmas ones. I'm not using well, actually I could. I might sprinkle some on after. There's green and white and gold and angels. And then I have gold stars, and I love to use these for decorating the top of the cake. And I don't put a ton on. I just kind of sprinkle whatever, let it land. What's the thing where they're like, I cook like naturally, like I listen to the voices of my ancestors before me. That's kind of what I do. And I think, whoops, that came out in a big dump. Now let's see if we can get a few of these little, because then I have all the traditional colors of Mardi Gras on the cake. Now, if I'm taking one of these to like a Pancake Tuesday event or something special, or I'm presenting like a king cake for the first time for somebody, then I go all fancy because remember, I'm all about experiences, right? And I usually do it on a plate. I actually usually sit it on tinfoil. Again, please don't judge me. I'm all about presentation. So I do a lot of like, these are not going where I want them to. Excuse the fingers. I'm going to use, they're dropping and I don't want them to. I want them to go on the king cake. So I'm just picking them up. You've seen me wash my hands like 3 times in the last 5 minutes. So what I usually do is I put a little clear cup or maybe even a votive holder of some sort. And I keep these in my kitchen. They're all washed. with dish soap and everything. And I every time I take them home, I obviously wash them again, put them back. But I use them to create centerpieces in the middle of my king cakes. So there we go. This one is all decorated. Let me see if I can show you. Let me clear some of these things away here. And what's wrong way? Here we go. Move it a little closer. Nope, that's me. You don't want to see me. There we go. Let's see if we can get it even a little closer here. Does that work? I think that works. There we go. I think you can see the cake. So it's all decorated up. And there we are. Oops, I'm trying to oh my, sorry, there we go. Oof, me and the gimbal today. Being a little bit testy. All right, so we've gone through some of the basics of Mardi Gras. The beads represent generosity and celebration. The masks, which I have hanging in my kitchen here. Here is I finally bought a mask a couple of years ago. I found one that really resonated with me. It's really important to me when I'm immersing myself in another culture, I don't want to be disrespectful. And so I tend to do things. I would rather take longer to do something and understand it than rush through, do something, and then find out maybe I've done it wrong or like I've upset locals or something. And so I am very cautious about what I do. So the masks reflect the tradition of anonymity and inclusivity. Colors: purple for justice, green for faith, and gold for power. So I'm taking one of these to work today to Lego, and I made up a little sign that explains what king cake is. And then tomorrow I'm taking the other cake down to Gray Line West Coast sightseeing and giving them a king cake with the explanation. So oh my gosh. So if you go back, if you're just joining in now, if you go back later, watch the whole thing, you'll hear me talk about the first Mardi Gras I went to. And I got to go to this cool Mardi Gras ball for Crew of Muses at the end of the night. And the whole thing was amazing. And I get off the streetcar and I ran into my friends that I was down there with, Amy and Tana. And they were, I think, just on their way back from, and now I've lost the name. There's a cool little, there's 9 million cool little music spots in New Orleans. And they had just left, and I had just gotten off the streetcar, and we timed it, didn't even try. We didn't even know. We were each calling it a day. And all of a sudden, we're walking together back to our housing, which was about 3 blocks off of Canal Street. And all of a sudden, this horse goes flying by, randomly running down Canal Street. And we all look at each other and we're like, what the heck was that? And then we see a string of cop cars chasing the horse. And we started to laugh so hard because as we're walking the 3 blocks, that horse was doing loops around the block trying to lose the police officers. And we catch up with it again a couple of blocks later, and he is just giving it his all. Well, it turns out that the stables for the police horses are actually in mid-city. And the horse had escaped, and I was like, I feel like I know what horse that is. I think I saw him at the beginning of the parades, and he did not want to stand still. So he's getting all his energy out now. And this is 6 hours later. And to this day, when we get together, we still laugh about those horses. Or that horse, I should say. And I think maybe the 3rd Mardi Gras I went to, I was all excited. I've been working on it. And every year I've had a costume. First year, I just wore tutus because, I was so excited to have an excuse to make and wear a tutu. I didn't really have a costume. One year, I went as Batgirl in hot pink and black. And I think, was that the year? No. It was when my housemates were still living up in Mid City, and I had spent a lot of time making this costume. And I don't remember if it was a particular character or if I just made a really fabulous tutu that I was proud of. Thank you, Mary Lou. And I was so happy. And I got up in the morning, and Brandon and Luke weren't heading out to the parades. They were cooking for the day because we were having more people over. And there were some friends down from, I think they were by that time moved to Chicago. And we were all staying in the same at Brandon and Luke's house. And that was actually the year I had my first ghost encounter on Mardi Gras day night. And so my friends were like, oh, or friends of ours were like, oh, well, we'll drive you down the parade route. I'm like, perfect. I'm going down to like Orleans Avenue because I wanted to live out Trombone Shorty's song. And I was just like super excited. And about one or two floats into the parade, it started to rain, like bucketing rain, like the parade called it. They just called it. And I don't know that Zulu has ever had to call a parade early. And I was so dejected because I was so excited for the day and it got so cold. And I was like, I'm just going to go back to the house. And so I'm walking back to go take the streetcar back to the house. And I'm like head down, like just, oh, I can't believe it. I was so excited, worked so hard on my outfit. Well, and all of a sudden I hear this, excuse me, ma'am, excuse me, or miss, excuse me, miss. And so I stop and I'm like, I feel like somebody's calling me. And I look over and there's this little girl, like 5-year-old girl. Oh my God, the most beautiful little girl I've ever seen. And she's hanging out the window of her mama's truck. And she's like, excuse me, miss. I look up and I'm like, hey, baby, how are you? And she goes, I'm good. I just wanted to tell you, I really love your outfit. You look really pretty today. And I looked at her and I'm like, oh, thank you, baby. And that was all I needed to be seen by anybody. And it turned out to be this beautiful little soul, all decked out in pink, and making sure she could stop and roll down the window and tell me how much she liked my outfit. So that was like just such a good day for me. And one year I got to meet Batman. I love Batman. And I just arrived into town. I'd been staying in Austin, Texas with a couple of friends for a couple of days and then headed out to Mardi Gras. And I was going to be house sitting for friends of mine Brandon and Luke, who lived on the West Bank and at the time. And so I was meeting them I went to their house, and of course it's on the West Bank. So it's a little harder to get back into the city. So I'm like, okay, well, cool, whatever. Like I'll just, I guess I'll figure out how to get into the city later. They're like, why don't you just like have a quick shower and we'll wait for you and like you can come out. So I kind of like just threw on any old clothes. I didn't even know what I was going to do. I'm like, I just needed to set my feet down on the ground in the city. And we were in the Ecto One. Yes, I'm not kidding. Ecto One. They were Ghostbusters fans. And we had pulled up at Canal Place, the big fancy shopping mall downtown, and they were meeting up with the rest of their Ghostbusters crew. And all of a sudden I hear Brandon, he says to the guy, hey man, yeah, no problem. Like, I'll even let you sit in my car and pretend like you're driving it, but you got to take a picture with my friend. And I turn around, I'm like, Brandon, what do you do? Oh, hello. And it was this tall dude in a full-blown Batman costume. And I was like, well, yes, you can take a picture with me, you lucky soul. And that was a fun moment for me. And I'm trying to think the last time I went to Mardi Gras. Yeah, it was the time that I got stuck in the buses and ended up calling an Uber and getting to the airport like way early. And yeah. So Mardi Gras started out as a way that the rich people would help the poor people. And that's where I guess Why am I struggling with words today? Um, Floats. That's what. So they would get high up and they would parade through the city and they would actually throw produce off of the floats and coins. So now, to help the poor, right? And so now that's why when you go to Mardi Gras parades, they have doubloons, like little coins in symbolism. And they don't really throw the produce anymore. I wouldn't want to get hit in the head by a cauliflower. That would hurt. But they have all the other things that they throw. And one time I got a set of beads with a big pair of plastic lips on it. It was funny. I've also received a hot pink, like neon pink, actually, neon magenta pink wig as a throw. The last time I went, the last time I was at Muses and I was so excited to go back for Muses again. I was I didn't get tickets to the party at the end of the parade route this time, but I was like, you know what? That's okay. I was just going to go and hang out and I'll talk to anybody. I love a good conversation. And so I'm hanging out and there was a gentleman next to me and we just started talking. I said, oh, what brings you here? Like, are you a local? And his daughter was riding in Muses in float number 14. So I was like, cool, point her out when we get there. And he's like, yeah, I'll get you some throws, some good stuff. She knows where I am. So I'm super looking forward to this. Well, wouldn't you know it? We get to like float number 6. Now you got to understand, this is not the 6th thing in the parade. We're talking in between. There's been dance troops, like I think Pussyfooters. I think Pussyfooters does Muses. That's my goal. When I can spend more time in New Orleans, I want to be a Pussyfooter. They have pink, hot pink, and orange costumes. They're fabulous. And they basically just walk the route and they do their dance routines and stuff. There are marching bands from the high schools. I think St. Aug does. I think I've seen St. Augustine. I think they do Muses. I always watch for Roots of Music, which is a local program, nonprofit for at-risk youth that helps them with homework and a hot meal as well. A friend of mine actually helped start that. And then there's like, I don't know, you see like the Flying Elvises and the 504 Stompers, which is like a men's group, like Pussyfooters, but it's all male. And actually, I met this guy through a friend of mine in New Orleans. Not in that way, no. I met a person in New Orleans who's basically essentially right now living the life that I want to live in New Orleans. And I found out that he actually is a pussyfooter. He's a handler. So he goes out on the parade route and is there walking along with them. I don't know, probably just protecting them, watching out. I don't know if he carries the water or not. Usually carry water and stuff. And there's usually a vehicle that rolls with them. And yeah, like just amazing. This guy is so cool. So I'm following him on Facebook so I can get more ideas of all the fabulous things I want to do in New Orleans one day. And yeah, it's just like it's a lot of fun. New Orleans in general is fun. Mardi Gras is more fun, but I caution that I don't know if you wanted to go to Carnival, like unless you really knew what you were doing, I don't know that I would go for Mardi Gras. Like, to be honest, all the locals, they've been parading for 6 weeks. They are done. The place is a zoo. It's all the tourists. Everything is so expensive that last weekend. So honestly, what I do now is I go the week before Mardi Gras. So Mardi Gras is always on a Tuesday, and it's always 6 weeks before Easter, which is why Mardi Gras is different every year, because Easter is different every year. And so I go for the week before and I leave town on the Saturday. And then Mardi Gras the Tuesday. Now, Saturday, I leave town. I miss Endymion. So in order to see Endymion, I would have to stay until the Sunday or Monday. But then the flights start to get expensive to fly out. So you either have to like go in for, if you're going for a week, you either have to go in on the Wednesday or Thursday before, which I always say Thursday's Crew of Muses. So I always have to be there for the Thursday. And then you want to stay till like a day or two after Mardi Gras. So I would go Thursday to Thursday. Um, and then, so I try to go the week before. There's some good stuff. The last time I did the week for Mardi Gras, there was a brand new crew rolling to do with cooking and chefs. And I got there and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I got there and I'd been in Seattle and doing some tours there and flew on a red eye and got in. I was just like, I am way too exhausted to do this. And so I ended up having a little nap and just hanging out locally at parades instead of going across to the West Bank for this new parade. And I think it's now been running for a couple of years. So, anyways, there we go. I just realized I forgot to put the timer on. But I'll flip the light on. And I feel like it's been in there for probably about 10 minutes. We've got another 20 minutes to go. I think. Yeah, doesn't look quite toasty on the top yet. So, anyways, there you go. There's some more stuff. I'm going to flip through my notes here, see what I haven't done yet. We've talked about the throws and the cups. Oh, and then the other thing that happens during Mardi Gras is the Mardi Gras Indians, and I love them. I went with my friend Rebecca to New Orleans a couple of years ago, and we actually took a class on how to sew like the Mardi Gras Indians. And we learned how to do, like, if you Google Mardi Gras Indians and see all their beautiful handiwork, those costumes you see, I mean, I post them on my Facebook all the time. Those are handmade and hand sewn costumes. They sew all those beads on individually. So basically, the day after Mardi Gras, they start making their next suit for next year. And they come out and they run. And it used to be that it was more of a violent thing where they would have like they would meet up with each other and there would be a bit of a fight. And now it's all just friendly. They have a spy boy who goes ahead and there's all these different positions and they pick their colors and then they do their costumes and it takes them all year to make a costume. So I love the Mardi Gras Indians. If you ever want to learn about the culture, go find the TV show Treme, Treme. It was on HBO when it first aired, produced by David Simon of The Wire. Cool guy, cool show. It talks a lot about the history of New Orleans and Mardi Gras and Mardi Gras Indians and things like that. The storylines are all to do with like the restaurant, the corruption, and all the bad things that happened in Katrina. It's basically a New Orleans after Katrina, like New Orleans. So, anyways, I have here music and books recommendations. So, if you want to hear a couple of good tunes that are specifically Mardi Gras, you want to find Go to the Mardi Gras by Professor Longhair. Second Line by Stop Inc. or Big Chief by Dr. John. Dr. John is a couple of his pieces are also on the Princess and the Frog soundtrack, which I was listening to earlier today. There is a book, Mardi Gras, Chronicles of the New Orleans Carnival by Errol Labourdet. Gumbo Tales, Finding My Place at the New Orleans Table by Sarah Roden. And The World That Made New Orleans by Ned Sublett. And I think so I think we've kind of covered the basics of it. And if you ever have questions about New Orleans, Mardi Gras, things like that, feel free to DM me on any of my social platforms. I'm always up for a good conversation about New Orleans. So again, for those who came in a little bit later, running on fried chicken and king cake is what my shirt says today, to be in the spirit of things. Quick recap. So today, I did 2 cakes so that I could show you one already done. But to do one cake, you need 2 containers of the Pillsbury crescent rolls, just the regular ones. Don't get the grands, those are way too hard to deal with. And I used a cup of icing sugar with 2 to 3 tablespoons of milk or cream for the icing and a little bit of vanilla. For my filling, I used 1 container of cream cheese. Doesn't matter which brand. I left it out for a little bit to go to room temperature. And then I actually just put it in the microwave for about 40 seconds just to really soften it up. And I put it in the mixer. I use about 2 tablespoons of icing sugar roughly just to, I don't know, because the recipe said to. So I almost did basically icing without the milk for the filling. And then I drizzled Nutella. So just good old basic Nutella on top and some good old raspberry jam. This time I got the Smucker's double fruit. Says less sugar than a jam with pectin, so I like that because I'm all about the type 2. And Nutella, I actually bought the Safeway no-name brand of it because it was on sale for cheap. So I think I'm going to say roughly it was like, I think $5 total for the 2 cans of Pillsbury, about $3 for the brick of cream cheese, and then I went out and bought icing sugar from the dollar store. So that would be like $5.50, $6.50, $7 plus the jam would be about another 5, I think, or 6 or 13. Nutella. So I'm going to say around $15 to $20 is what I spend to do 1 king cake. Wow, when I say it like that, it sounds more expensive. But I shop the deals and I do what I can to make it as budget friendly as possible, but also just fabulous. And I just love sharing these with my coworkers. So I think at this point, I'm going to wrap up. Because we've been on here for almost an hour and 15 minutes. You know me, I'm always losing track of time and having fun. I do need to go get ready for work this afternoon. We have a big launch at Lego on Saturday. And then next Tuesday is Mardi Gras Day. So I will be getting up. I will probably make pancakes. I work at Lego that day. I forgot to book it off for the 2nd year in a row. So I'll make pancakes, I'll make coffee, and I will blast. I have I couldn't find it on my TV where I play my music through. But on my phone I have a playlist literally called Mardi Gras King Cake Baking playlist. And it's got all kinds of really good music with like Trombone Shorty and traditional Mardi Gras songs and just things that remind me of New Orleans and Mardi Gras time. So there we go. I have shared some stories and some history and some fun with you. I hope you enjoyed this today. Oh, you're welcome, Mary Lou. As always, I'd love it if you guys could share my my tours when I drop them in the group. And anytime, really, you can share my YouTube channel with your friends. I always do videos where I travel to, so you're going to see a whole variety of different things. And my next tours are Saturday. I'm doing a little fun celebration for National Plan a Solo Vacation Tour. There's going to be some hints and tips about how to travel solo, things I do, safety aspects, and I'll share all kinds of stories from all of my travels as solo travels. So anything could be popping up. We could be talking about Mobile or Atlanta or Austin or Fort Worth or Dallas or Washington, D.C., Seattle, New Orleans, anywhere really. And then after that, my birthday celebration is March 25th.
That's my birthday. And we'll be doing I'll stop and do a tour wherever I am. So on that day, I go out and I try to get as many freebies as I can in one day. And I picked a time, and wherever I am, that's where we're going to do a little fun little spur of the moment tour. And then after that, my next tours are going to be when I'm in Orlando, going for Rascal Flats, and then headed over to New Orleans. I'm going to be in New Orleans for French Quarter Fest, but I'm going to have a few days to hang out first, so that's going to be amazing. I'm going to do some tours. I'm working on one all about Canal Street and the history of it. And we'll see what else inspires me. Probably do some kind of coffee shop, something, or a donut. That's my new series, Donut Stop Believing. So we'll do a donut shop in New Orleans as well. That is going to be all for today, my friends. So have a fabulous rest of your day wherever you are. Thanks for tuning in. I have links on my Facebook that go to my PayPal, as well as my buymeacoffee.com/girl-in-a-bus. You want to drop me a tip? And just a reminder that tours in March, any tips I make, percentage of that will be going towards Katie's crops, I should say. And that is a fabulous young lady doing a nonprofit trying to keep her community fed with vegetable gardens and produce gardens in Charleston, just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. Met her when I was a huggable hero. So there we go, my friends. Have a magical rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you on the next tour.